Barbara Kalow grew up in Toronto, Canada. She graduated from the University of Guelph's Veterinary College with her master's degree. Barbara then worked as a researcher for a few years before being hired by the federal government in 1992 as a meat inspector. She then moved to veterinary biologics and was promoted to the science branch to advise on animal health issues. Barbara was an avid gardener, bicyclist, art enthusiast, and birdwatcher. She loved to travel and excelled in her career, where she came across to colleagues as a brilliant, adventurous go-getter. In 2005, 45-year-old Barbara decided to see the desert wildflowers bloom in Arizona. She left her home on March 25, 2005, traveled to Abbotsford, British Columbia, and then to Las Vegas, Nevada, where she rented a car on March 26th. Barbara then drove to Yuma, Arizona, where she spent the day. She then drove to Lake Havasu City, Arizona, and checked into a motel called the Windsor Inn Motel on April 2nd. She used the room as a base for day trips. Barbara was last seen alive by staff at about 8:40 p.m. on April 4th. Thereafter, she called her mother, Bridget Kalow, in Toronto, to say that she was planning to stay another day in Lake Havasu before driving to Las Vegas to fly home. Her body was found by housekeepers shortly before noon the next day on April 5th. An autopsy revealed that the cause was asphyxiation after being smothered by a pillow. No weapons were found in the room. Barbara's purse, credit cards, cell phone, identification, rented car, and the pillow were missing. The stolen car was found 2 days later abandoned along Interstate 15 in California's Mojave Desert. Investigators collected DNA belonging to the suspect from the crime scene and stored it for future use. At the time, Lake Havasu Police Lieutenant Joe Archie said it was believed that Barbara had confronted someone trying to break into her rental car. "It's possible she knew the person, but most likely not," said Archie. "We think it was just kind of a situation where she was in the wrong spot at the wrong time." In 2018, Lake Havasu's Police Department's Cold Case Squad and its Criminal Investigations Unit began reinvestigating the case. They submitted the DNA evidence found at the crime scene back in 2005 into DNA databases. Finally, they identified 60-year-old Stacy Childs as the man responsible. He was arrested on April 26, 2022. He is a Santa Cruz, California resident. Childs has a long history of run-ins with the law. Among the charges of which he was found guilty in California were a 2018 misdemeanor for threatening to injure someone, a felony conviction for receiving stolen property in 2012, a felony conviction for evading a peace officer in 2005, and a felony conviction in 2004 for false imprisonment. On the latter two charges, he was sentenced to serve more than 2.5 years in San Quentin State Prison. He has now been taken to a jail in Arizona and is awaiting trial. 42-year-old Stephanie Thompson lived in North Charleston, South Carolina in 1998. She had 3 children, Dylan, Polly, and Ricky Thompson. On December 21, 1998, Stephanie's body was found approximately 20 feet into a wooded area off Franchise Street in North Charleston. Her body was discovered by a hunter who was looking for a place to squirrel hunt. Investigators found her lying face up on the ground, and her clothing below her waist had been removed. Investigators collected DNA evidence belonging to the suspect from the crime scene. A witness came forward saying that they saw Stephanie the previous evening with a man leaving a trailer on Franchise Street. The witness was able to provide a description of the man that led to a composite sketch. Investigators questioned a few suspects, but it didn't lead anywhere and the case went cold for some time. Recently, the case was reopened. Investigators knew they had a good DNA sample. It was sent to a private genetic genealogy testing company. The results of that test narrowed the search field. Finally, they identified 43-year-old Charles Goodwin as the man responsible. The match was made on December 10, 2021. He was arrested in Greenville, South Carolina on March 28, 2022. His DNA was in their database because he had been arrested in an unrelated felony DUI case. Investigators did not say whether they believe Goodwin and Thompson knew each other, but the warrant also alleges that Goodwin provided false and misleading information about his involvement in the case during interviews. When investigators told Goodwin why he was being arrested, he just said, "Okay," as if he was expecting it. Goodwin was taken to Dorchester County Sheriff's Office and is being held at the LC Knight Detention Center after a bond hearing during which a judge denied bond. "19-year-old Kara Nichols lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado in 2012. She was an aspiring model. On October 9, 2012, Kara left her home to go to Denver. She told her friends she was traveling for a photo shoot. When no one heard from Kara, her brother Terry Nichols reported her missing 5 days later on October 14th. In the years since she disappeared, investigators had leads that spanned the US and Europe and issued dozens of search warrants. Recently, a key witness for investigators told them that a man by the name of Joel Hollendorfer confessed to taking the life of Kara. According to the witness, Hollendorfer and Kara met because she was advertising escort services. For an unknown reason, he decided to strangle her. Recently, Hollendorfer's property in Black Forest, Colorado was searched. Kara's remains were found buried there. In February of 2022, Hollendorfer was arrested in connection to the case. Investigators have not yet revealed more information than that. His hearing will be on September 15, 2022.